In this edition of Quarantine Chronicles, I catch up with Blazers guard Gary Trent Jr., whose competitiveness and drive to just be great began when he was just 4 years old and shows no sign of waning now that he's earned playing time in the NBA. You've always played with a bit of a chip on your shoulder. Where does your chip come from?
Just wanting to be great, ever since a little kid, been chasing something. I've been making sacrifices since I was 5 years old, 4 years old, missing out on birthday parties, sacrificing a lot.
And growing up with a dad who played in the NBA, when do you think that basketball became something that wasn't just, oh, this is what dad did for a living, and something that became, this is what I want to do?
Before we even did started the training aspect of anything, my father asked me, do you want to be ordinary or extraordinary? Do you want to be good at basketball? Do you want to play basketball? So we had that conversation, and he told me everything that I would need to do.
It's been well documented how much you guys have worked out and started early. Walk me through some of those workouts as a 5-year-old.
It was a lot of yelling. Sometimes my dad, he would, to keep me motivated, to keep me dribbling around the track, he would walk in front of me and say bye, like he's leaving to me. So I would continue to practice, but continue to try to chase him, wait up. So, he had a lot of tactics and, they worked. And he told me everything that I would need to do if I wanted to, be great. I would have to work hard. I would have to stay focused in the classroom. I would have to make the right decisions, hang with the right friend group, all the stuff that parents say. So, I just followed the game plan, continue to work. I listened to him. I believed in him. And, it got me where I am now.
So as you grew up, your dad wasn't the only great NBA player that you were around. What were some of his NBA friends that you say had the most influence on you?
It would have to be probably my Uncle Kevin, Kevin Garnett, seeing how he worked day in and day out. When my dad, was my dad was actually a coach for the Minnesota Timberwolves a couple years back on their player development side. So I had the opportunity, to be around him, Kevin, even more that year, seeing how he works, to how he eats after the games and everything, a very luxury lifestyle. He worked very hard. He's a Hall of Famer. He's everything that you would want to be in a career. So if you could just talk to him about anything, pick his brain about the game of basketball or life, So it's a great person to have in my corner.
What are some of the biggest lessons you feel like he particularly has passed on to you?
I would say the biggest thing, no matter what we was always talking about, he always talked about staying focused and just staying on your craft. That was mostly the main thing he always talked about, obviously with many other things, but mostly was just lock in.
After dominating through youth sports in high school, Trent played one season at Duke, where, for maybe the first time in his basketball life, he learned how to play alongside other great players.
Being at Duke, I was playing with 5 other pros at all times. So, you always got to give and take and sacrifice this and that, and it teach you how to play with other great players, That's what you have to do when you come to the NBA. You're an NBA player. You come into the NBA player, you're a young player. You don't have a rep. You don't have anything. You have to come in, gel with great players and, make it work, make the system work. And that's what I had to do at Duke. So I would say basketball-wise, that was, the biggest thing and the biggest growth in my development for basketball is being able to also play with other great players.
You get picked 37th overall. How did you feel about where you were drafted?
At the time, I was furious. I was mad, up to that point. Like you said, I felt like I've done everything I could, to help me. But, hey, that's not the cards I was dealt. Can't mope around about it. Can't sob about it. Get in the gym and work.
Was that the first time you really felt like you'd been potentially overlooked or underestimated in your basketball career?
You can say that. Just growing up, you always have a chip on your shoulder.
You mentioned how at Duke you learned how to play with great players, and then you come to Portland your rookie year and you're learning not only how to play with great players who are trying to make a name for themselves in the league, but you're learning to play behind great established players like CJ McCollum, like Damian Lillard. What is the biggest lesson you think you learned in your rookie year, being forced to sit on the bench probably more than you've had to sit on the bench your entire career?
It was crazy. The first time in my basketball career where, I was on the scout team preparing players for actual games. So it was crazy. It was a new step for me. But, went through the process, went through it like a champ, did as best I could, you know what I'm saying? But it was a great thing. It builds you up and it makes you appreciate, when you actually get the opportunity to play and you're playing and you're enjoying it, and you'll look back and remember, at a point in time I wasn't playing. So continue to work so I'll never go back to that point.
Who were the vets that you felt really invested in you in that time where you're sitting on the bench and you're learning from them?
It's a great organization because, there's some organizations where guys don't talk. They won't try to take you under your wing. As soon as I got here, I was a second-round pick, and the first person that texted me was Dame. So Dame was the first person to text me. And then when I came to Portland, CJ took me under his wing, got me a couple suits, tried to get my style together, stuff like that. Evan Turner, he took care of me, took me to restaurants. He got me some suits as well. Just trying to make sure, I'm confident, feeling good, looking good. Believe it or not, a lot of other young players helped me too, as in Wade Baldwin and, Caleb Swanigan.
This year, we really started seeing you hit your stride in the league. I want to talk about a couple games in particular. First and foremost, is it okay to call it the flu game, your 30-point game that you had against Oklahoma? Walk me through that game.
I actually were playing the night before. It was a back-to-back, so we were in Dallas. We was just playing, and I just was feeling lightheaded. I wasn't feeling good. I don't know what it was. They said it was a flu. So, I played through it. I tried to do the best of my ability. Our health and performance staff did a terrific job of making sure I was ready. That game gave me a lot of confidence going on for the rest of the season, and just wanted to continue to build and just stay consistent as possible with my play.
The other game that I'd like to talk about, because I think it showed a little bit of your personality that maybe we hadn't seen a ton of. Utah was a wild game for a multitude of reasons, but that thing was chippy from the get-go. Did you go into that game and just kind of feel something different, not just with you, but with the rest of the team as well?
You could say that, but that's for any game, Everybody has players, that they, I'm going to go hard against this player. I'm going to go at this player. But you could, that's just the game of basketball. The Utah Jazz are in the Western Conference. We're in the Western Conference. We're fighting for the same thing every single year. So you're bound to, run into issues at some point.
You and Donovan Mitchell both got technicals at the end of the first half.
Oh, yeah.
I watched the game, and I could never figure out what happened.
Emotions were flying high at the time. That's all I remember.
Having someone like Donovan Mitchell come out and say afterwards something about you and how they needed to stop you, was that a bit of a kind of coming of age moment that you found out you were kind of getting game planned for?
Shows a testament to my game, You're talking to other players and, other teams and organizations throughout the league, and they're saying that they're starting to guard you a certain way, and you just hear little stuff like that. It really motivates you, to keep working more. So, they get to a point where they say, we can't do nothing with him but contain him. So that's the point we're going to try to get to.